Okay, so unfortunately, I won't be able to use my microphone, so I'm just gonna be playing this music in the background. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but let's just get started. Let's just get started. Oh wait, I could use a headphones, just regular headphones, but I restarted live. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, no, it's fine. Let's just get started. All right, so let's get started. Let's start with this. All right, let's talk about what everyone's talking about, or for most people. Most people are talking about self-improvement right now. They're talking about self-improvement, where it's this kind of like this one way, one golden ticket to solving all your problems. Whether it's, reading more books, or, going to the gym, educating yourself. It's basically just kind of stacking new habits. And there's this uncomfortable part where there's a lot of people that don't realize, and there's this truth where not all growth is real growth, and I'll explain that a little bit later. But not all growth is real growth. Sometimes what it looks like progress, it's actually more of an illusion instead. For many, a lot of people, when they do this type of self-help type of work, most of it's a mask. It's a mask to cover what you're really hiding from, whether it's your insecurities, your distractions, or even, in some cases, avoidance. So when it comes to relationships and dating, that illusion can be pretty destructive in your relationship, especially if you're trying to better yourself. Because if you're chasing growth only to impress, or trying to win someone over, or somewhere along that line, a lot of the times most people, when they do it, they're trying to fill a void, or they're trying to hide themselves from who they really are. And you're not really becoming better, you're just really becoming more busier. And if you're new here today, my name is Mitchell. I'm a relationship coach, and in today's live video, I'll be talking about the dark side of self-improvement, which is the illusion of growth, and where there's certain hidden traps that could keep you stuck in a situation, and how to actually get more attainable success, but also have sustainable success too as well. So, all right, come on. You want to come say hi? All right, let's get ready for our first slide. Please don't bite me. First slide. Okay, so number one is being aware. Being aware. Okay, excuse me. Being aware. And I want to quote Dr. K, because Dr. K, he's on YouTube. He's his name is Healthy Gamer GG. So Dr. K quoted, "Good diagnosis precedes Good diagnosis precedes good treatment. The more you know about your own problems, the better you can become." And it's very common, especially in men, where if there's a problem, we like to focus on this one thing, where we run towards a solution. Hold on. This is dangerous. Okay. We run towards this kind of one immediate solution, where, for example, if we want to get a girlfriend, we want to find a girlfriend, most guys would think like, well, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? Oh, okay, I just go to the gym. I work out a little bit more. I buy new clothes. I'll look more presentable. Or if I'm struggling with money, well, I need to get a better job or have more certifications. Now, what people tend to miss is what drives our behavior. What is our why? What is the reason why we do the things that we do? And if your behavior is going to the gym so that you can become more attractive, or I'm going to the gym specifically so that I can find a girl, find a partner, or whatever it may be, chances are you might be having some insecurity problems, right? And if you're posting on social media every day, not because you want to share something or create something, but because you can't stand the fact that maybe you see some of your friends have more likes than you, or get more attention than you do, you probably have some jealousy problem, and also maybe some insecurity problems too as well. And if you cling on to, say, a relationship, you're clinging on to this unhealthy relationship, and you're like, well, being alone is worse than being with an unhealthy partner. Well, then you probably have something called the fear of loss, right? You have a fear of loss. And for most people, they don't ask themselves the questions like, well, why do I want to be in a relationship, or why want to find a girlfriend? Or why do I need to make more money? Like, what does more money mean to you? And what's the real reason why I post more on social media? The main question is, where is that drive coming from? So it's not about how you need to change. And I quote Dr. K for this, okay? It's not about how you need to change. It's about, why am I the way that I am? That is the most important question. And to quote the great Jim Rohn, he says, the bigger your why, the easier the how. So you have to really, really know the reason why you're finding this significant change. And this change that you're pursuing, it's not just an attainable type of change, it's more of a sustainable type of change. What's up, Luis? So let's go on to our second slide, which is help people understand. Now, convincing is not the solution. The idea of trying to help other people is not to try to convince them. It is to find a solution, listen to them. What's up, Jennifer? So, ladies, women, this lady's woman. Now, people learn through experience. But if we're looking at people and how most people solve the problems nowadays, it's really not through, a lot of it is not through experience, going through the trials, right, and understanding. But it's more so through information. Original. I don't know what that is. Okay, so a lot of people, they like to focus on information rather than kind of experiences. That's the reality of how most people solve the problems, is through information, right? Especially, like I said, in today's society where information is very, very close to home, very close in proximity. Just think about it. You pull out your phone, you Google something. If you don't know something, you Google it. I know I've done that. And so if you have a problem, what most people do is, look, I'll buy a book. If I have problems in a relationship, I'll buy a book. I'll listen to a podcast. There's relationship coaches out there. There's people that help with other things, right? Or talk to a friend that has experienced the same problems. So what's the real problem of self-help? What's the real problem with self-help? We all know that one person that, all they do is post about being happy. They talk about bettering themselves or how their life has changed so much. And maybe it did. And, we have to understand that at any given moment, anytime we engage in self-help, it's a coping mechanism. It's so that we learn to deal with the negativity within us. And so people cope with the gap between consuming a lot of self-help and taking action by engaging in a lot of mental stimulation or emotional self-deception, thinking that, what's up, Bree? So when I say the emotional self-deception is that they feel like, look, as long as I watch this video, or as long as I go to the seminar, I go, listen to this podcast, that a lot of my problems will be solved. It's a step towards that direction, but the main thing is you have to make drastic changes, and you have to apply with not just action, but apply within yourself authentically. And that is how something like that can sustain. Otherwise, it would just be something that you attain. I don't know. Maybe it's the hair. I do need a haircut. But anyways. So people cope, it's that gap between consuming so much. And what was his name? Julian himself said, be careful not to just come to the seminar and feel the seminar high where you're still gonna have to go home and take a lot of action and a lot of consistent action in order to change your reality. Because otherwise, most people, they just feel like, hey, you know what? I listened to you. I have a lot of information. I'm better now. And in reality, that's just delusional. You're not getting any better. You just think you are. Feeling and actually doing are two different things. And so people cope. Now, endless and passive consumption of self-help content, like I said, podcasts, books, videos, you name it, the epiphany, that aha type of moment of new ideas provide a lot of this, dopamine rush. And that's usually mistaken with genuine growth. Now, an example is a person that feels stuck in a relationship, because this is a relationship podcast. A person that feels stuck in a relationship. So what do? They start binge watching a lot of relationship videos, coaching videos, listen to a lot of podcasts and about how to better their relationship. Sounds fair. Now, the inspiration and the motivation of that content is very satisfying. But if they never take concrete steps, aka taking action, or looking at themselves and reflecting, asking themselves questions like, well, what could they do better? Like, what could I do better in this relationship? Or what am I doing now currently that's hindering my relationship with my significant other? And they never take that step into improving themselves and understanding why they do the things that they do. They will always remain stuck, or they feel like they're getting better, they get a little bit better, and then it pulls them right back down. So anyways, they get sucked into like this delusion of I'm actually getting better, when because you're getting more educated without actually doing anything. And so that's how most people get stuck. Now let's talk about motivation and change. Okay, most people change because of a certain stimuli, some sort of stimulus. It's too painful to be in this situation and I don't want to be here anymore, right? So, I know for me, for sure, at one point in my life, people made fun of my height and my weight. Nothing I could do with my height, right? So I just took it as is. But they were making fun of my weight. I was a little chubby. I was also short. I was called a whole bunch of names. Now, of course, like I said, I couldn't do anything about my height, but what I could change is how I present myself, how I take care of myself. So, in the beginning, don't get me wrong, like when I went to the gym, I was like, yeah, I'm just tired of people you struggle with motivation. Why do you feel like that, Eric? And as you're typing, I'm gonna continue on. But anyways, yeah, I went to the gym and I just, I just did it. Why? I didn't know. I was like, yeah, people go to the gym, they work out. And I didn't know what the hell I was doing at the gym neither. So anyways, I just did it. I went consistently without actually realizing why I did the things that I do. I didn't know why. I just well, people do it. It seems to be the right thing to do, especially if you want to be healthier. I didn't know my why. And, even when I reached my peak, and this was back in 2017, 2018, I would say I reached my peak in terms of fitness. I was like, wow, I never thought I could have reached this peak. I was mentally in the worst state in my life. Physically, I look decent. I work 50 hours a week. I'm not lazy, but when it comes to anything outside of work, I just suck, man. I've been serving back in the 2000s, and since I've been clean, I never felt the same. I'm not lazy, but when it comes to anything outside of work, I suck. And so, Eric, what I would say to that is really be careful with what you label yourself, because whether it's true or not, it is. You know what I mean? Let's just say that you do suck and you're not good at anything outside of work. Okay, well, maybe that's true. But even if you don't suck at it, but you say you do suck at it, it still becomes true. So it becomes this kind of self-fulfilling. Yeah, it becomes this self-revealing kind of prophecy. And so you really have to be careful with the story that you consistently tell yourself, because now I'm not telling you to just fake it, but faking it till you make it is better than not doing anything or labeling yourself as I am like this. Yeah. And we tend not to want to listen to the people closest to us. Now, if you don't believe in yourself, it's going to be really, really hard to convince another person. You know what I'm saying? If you don't even believe that you are better at anything outside of that, it's really hard to convince other people that you are. If you don't believe in it, because anything you do, you say, how you present yourself, it's always gonna come out as, damn, I'm not good enough, I'm not competent, right? Because if you look at it in this perspective of what are our two biggest fears in life, in human, our two biggest fears is, number one, fear we're not gonna be loved. That's usually number one. And the second one is that we're not good enough. So the feeling of inadequacy. I had a very chaotic upbringing, physical, mental abuse, a lot of negative people. And it sounds like you took yourself out of that environment because you said you used to do a lot of things before that, right? And then ever since then, it hasn't been the same. What's up, Crystal? The idea is to try to do something, try to find something that you truly enjoy, and then just pursue it. Now, I will talk about consistency, but then I will also talk about intensity. A lot of people overestimate what they could do in a year, but underestimate what they could do in about 10 years. So instead of looking at it as like, damn, I need to set a specific deadline for myself within this time frame. Yes, it's nice to set a time frame, but if you don't hit that mark, at least see like, well, was I at least accurate? So it's the process of enjoying your time while you're doing it. I did myself. Kids are fantastic, super smart, very well behaved. I tried everything to be everything my parent weren't. Now I'm not here to diagnose people, okay? I was a musician before. I had first job. Musician was everything to me. Now let me ask you this question: was playing music or being a musician something that you kind of stopped doing? And is it something that you truly love? Not something that you like, but something that you love doing. Like, is that your favorite pastime? And then also, what I've noticed is people that lean so complete opposite of what their parents wasn't, or you try your best not to become that parent because you knew exactly how it was growing up. When they tend to go to the complete opposite side, what ends up happening is that they eventually find themselves back to a lot closer to how they were treated, or how they're treating their how the parents treated them, and as to how you're treating your kids. So the more you resist, the more it persists. Yes, I had to stop playing music to provide for my firstborn and her mama. Okay, and now that you're doing a little bit better, are you still continuing on with your music? And as you're typing this, I'm reading, but I'm just gonna continue with my life that I had written down for us. Okay, so motivation and change. Motivation. Okay, so most people change because of a certain stimuli, right? You're not exactly pleased with what you see in the mirror. You're dissatisfied. You're unhappy in your relationship. Well, it starts to become where it starts to become unhealthy, like a toxic type of relationship. Now, you could be motivated by negative emotions or motivated by inspiration, or a combination of both to create a certain type of change. And for most people, they use negative emotions is a good motivator for change, especially in their circumstances. Let's see. Yes, I had to stop playing. I've been a welder for 14 years. I just got back into music and we're really good. People really like what we do. Sometimes I don't even hear it the same as others. What do you mean by that? You don't hear it the same by others? But it's good. Like, I mean, well, one, I'm pretty sure you're a really, really, really experienced welder. you could charge a lot of money based off the experience and the years that you put in. And then you just recently got back into music, and you're really good. And I'm just curious I'm just curious, what do you exactly mean by you don't hear the same as others? Because I think so little of myself, and imagine I'm creating something worth anything. I see. So it feels like other people say that you're good, but you don't even believe in it in yourself. And so you're creating this unrealistic expectation. I'm pretty sure somewhere along the line, there might be some comparison with other people that you may look up to as well. Now, back to self-help, okay? Problem with self-help, because it's great that you're here, but I want people when they're here and they're listening, that they're not just getting attainable success. I want them to have sustainable success. So great that you're here, Eric. I have a very poor self-image. Yes, brother. Yeah. So I mean, I'm like that too, but I have to really sit down and just think about it. I'm like, I can't really compare myself. I mean, yes, I do compare myself to other dancers, and I'm just like, wow, they're so fucking good. Because I love dancing. Dancing is like the one thing, my favorite pastime, something that I would never, I wouldn't trade any money. No, you're good. That's something that I would never trade. Not even for like $1 million or even 10 million. Like, if someone said you couldn't dance, if we ever find out that you ever dance ever again, and we gave you this 10 million, we're gonna chop off your feet. I'm like, nah, just keep your money. I'd rather continue dancing. To me, it's not worth it. Oh, thank you, Bree. Yeah, it is. It's not easy. It's not easy. Yeah, Bree's been OG since day one. But yeah, anyways, back to this. So a lot of people, they talk about their problems, right? Now, this is exactly what we're doing. We're like, because you're talking to me right now, this is like the best example, okay? This is the best example. You're talking to me about these problems, and what most people do is whenever we have an issue, we like to talk about things. And the reason why we like to talk about things is the reason why most people talk about any type of situation is so that we could, usually is so that we could decrease a certain negative emotion that we're experiencing. Favorite song for that? As long as it sounds good to me, that's the best thing. That's as good as I could frame it. I like Chris Brown's music, very danceable. But anyways, so talking about your problems, it decreases negative emotions. And since negative emotions is also a good predictor for a significant change in our life, you're also decreasing your reason for change. So think about the people that you know in your life that only talks about the problems but never does anything about it. And so we see people that stay stuck, and they get stuck in this kind of loop, and it's a vicious cycle. It just never gets better. And so when you get stuck in that loop, you're constantly talking about your problems, because once you talk about your problems, you feel better, but nothing changes, and it happens again over and over. And just history just kind of repeats itself. And so what do most of us say usually, when someone just keeps coming back to you with the same problem? Most of the time, people won't say this, okay? But maybe you're saying this to yourself. You're like, dude, stop bitching. Or all you do is talk about the same problems. Or if you're nice about it, if you're trying to be polite, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry, like, you're not really sorry, but you just like, damn, I'm sorry that you keep on going through the same shit over and over and over. Now, the core message about this example is, it's important to talk about our problems, but it's even more important to take necessary actionable steps to make that change. And so with you, Eric, what I see is this story that you're constantly telling yourself and you're comparing yourself to other people. And so at some point, you gotta learn how to just, as simple as it sounds, you just gotta learn how to let go. You have to learn how to let go and take a step away and be like, I'm doing my best and eventually I will get better. Along this line, there's a lot of people that enjoys my music. I might not enjoy it the same way as they do because of, what you're discrediting yourself from, but they enjoy it. And so as long as there's a benefit, at least on their side, and then you're constantly trying to find a way for yourself to enjoy certain type of music that you're creating, that's the beauty of the process. And so let's talk about this growth of this pendulum analogy of self-improvement, okay? And I found this online and I thought it was really, really creative, and so that's why I had to use it. I still had to find a credit to this person, but it's called the pendulum analogy. And so your cycle of self-help is very similar to this. Every time you're doing something good, a good habit, you're also building momentum that falls back into your bad habit. And how I see it, it's like this. Let's use me as an example. When I started out, people made fun of me. I was short. I was a little chunky. I wasn't like fat or anything. I was chunky anyways. I started over here, okay? And then I was like, you know what? I'm tired of people making fun of me. I'm tired of people say I was not athletic at all, and they could run a lot. Anyways, whatever, it doesn't matter. What ended up happening was I started going to the gym, and when I was going to the gym, I was getting better and better and better. What ended up happening was once I hit my peak at the very top, the higher I went, the harder the fall that I experienced when I hit that peak. That I'm like, I should be happy. I gotten to my goal that I always wanted to. How come I'm not happy? And then boom, I hit like rock bottom again. And I was like, what the fuck? Why did this happen? It's like, and the reason why it happened was because everything that I was feeding myself based off of this fear, or I'm gonna prove you guys wrong, I'm gonna do this so that I did it because I didn't want other people to make fun of me, and I needed to prove something to them. And so, and we take a step back and we look at this through the lens of, well, if I did it so that I can make people not jealous, but so that they had less things to say about me, my happiness was really dependent on how they perceive me. And so when we look at happiness and contentment in this area, it becomes this moving target, and I would never be satisfied with myself regardless of whether or not I reach my goal, or in your case, make better music. It would never be great enough because your happiness is now dependent on what you see from other people and not within yourself. So the question is, it's like, well, how do I find peace and contentment with the music or, dances that I have, that I create, so that I am pleased with what I see? And a lot of that is coming from a place of just being grateful. How I see it is, it's like, I'm grateful to wake up every morning, to be able to do the things that I love. Also, at the same time, I had to create that for myself. Meaning, just like what you did, Eric, you grew up in a place where, your childhood wasn't the best. You started out doing things that you wouldn't ever really think about going back again. But then now you're also distracting yourself. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. You're also distracting yourself with a lot of time. So you might think, you're like, damn, I'm doing 50 plus hours a week, welding, 14 years, a lot of experience. And within that, you're not exactly pleased because you're not growing. And as men, we need a sense of growth in order to feel fulfilled. So anytime as men we stay stagnant, whether, let's just put it like this, if our woman isn't happy, we blame ourselves. If things don't go the way that we do, we blame ourselves. Yeah. And so what does it mean for guys? We as guys, we need to learn to be efficient, right? Not, yeah, it is. It's a big problem not to do that. And it's like the older I've gotten, the more I realize, I was like, look, if I don't take care of myself and I'm not happy and I am not at least content or satisfied with now I'm not gonna have great days all the time, but if I don't get to do the things that I set off myself to do as a guy, I would be like, I would be very, very depressed. I'm not gonna lie. I think if I didn't dance for a long time, like I was like, look, I'm gonna go dance, and I don't do it because life got in the way. Kids, wife, whatever you write, in your case, Eric. I have to fill in that time for myself no matter what. That's the most important part of my day. Because if I can't give what I don't have. And if I come back home pissy and upset because I didn't get to do what I wanted to do, what do you think is going to do to my relationship with my girlfriend? And in your case, how do you think it's gonna affect your relationship if you come back home welding, 14 years of experience, and then you come back home and you're like, man, I told myself, I even gave myself a Google Calendar that I was gonna play music, or at least try to create some music or have some fun and kind of let loose a little bit. And I didn't get to do that. And I said I was going to do it. And you do that consistently, time after time. Those times add up. And it's going to feel like it's going to be eating you alive inside. And so it's like, well, when you do have the time to play, you want to be able to give yourself that freedom to not feel like you have to make progress every single time. And I'll give you an example of that later too. But going back to that pendulum analogy is, at that peak of that pendulum, you feel great. You feel like you reached this place where you got into a new you, and then it brings you down to this downward momentum where it brings you down into this very depressing, like, I thought I was getting better type of feeling. And the most frustrating part about that is you won't know it because every single time it happens, it feels fresh to you, it feels new to you each time. And because it's something different, you don't realize that it's the same cycle. It's because it feels like it's something new. It's not, it's a big problem. It's not good, man. When I'm unhappy, no one is happy. Exactly, you see? And us as men, we're supposed to be the grounded, masculine, leading figures in our household. My wife really pushes me to create and do what I love. And I think that sounds like a really good wife. Like, for her to be like, you need to take a few hours off a week, shave off some hours of work, and then spend that time to do what you love doing and see how that goes. Because like you said, you work about 50 hours a week, right? Can you take off 5 to 10 hours a week, which is about an hour to 2 hours a day, right? Assuming that your week is Monday through Friday. I agree with you, and I feel like when your partner challenges you, they're really trying to bring you the best version of you. Absolutely. Exactly. And I also want to share a dark side to this, Eric. I don't want to share the dark side, but I do need to reveal the truth to you, all right? I don't know how long you've been experiencing this, okay? Bree, maybe you could testify for me. Maybe you could testify for me. I don't want to put your thing out there like that, but you could. But anyways, woman, especially your wife or your girlfriend or whatever, assuming that you're the masculine figure and she is the feminine, you have about 6 months to maybe a year. Okay, 6 months to maybe a year's time where you could feel the way that you do. And if it continues to be like that, if it continues to be like, damn, like, well, I'm still not happy with myself. I'm unhappy. Like, and I'm talking about like you're just not dissatisfied. You're like, damn, I suck. Nothing else will really, like you just at this rock bottom all the time. It means that you're no longer the leader of the relationship. Women wants to be with a man that's a leader of his own life. And so like when I say 6 months to a year, that's that kind of grace period. And that's usually when a woman would be like, hey, this is make it or break it time. You, as a guy, you have time to be in a rut. You just can't be in there for too long. Now, this also means that it doesn't matter if you've been together 5 months, 5 years, or however long. That time that you guys been together is very insignificant to that 6 months to that year that you have of being in this rut. Because if you don't snap out of it, if you don't get yourself out of this, eventually she's gonna find a way out. Now, right now, she wants you to be happy, but eventually that lack of happiness or contentment within yourself is gonna basically go on to her, and she's gonna be like, well, shit, I don't want to be a part of this. If this is supposed to be that man I'm supposed to be following. While creating space for your girl to be the queen, feel safe that you can take charge and man of the house. Yeah. Yes. And let me finish this first, and then we can talk a little bit more about your situation. All right. Where am I? So let's see. Okay, being unstuck is, I talked about how everything feels new each time because it's something different. And so how do we get unstuck in this illusion of growth? Now, becoming unstuck means that you have to create distance between you and your mind, okay? Eric, this is for you, okay? Especially for you. You have to create a certain distance between yourself and your mind. You have to create that distance. Becoming unstuck means that when you create that distance between you and your mind, you're allowing yourself. In other words, being more mindful of yourself, meaning that you're not trying to force things to change, okay? Because that could be really rocky. If you're trying to force a change immediately, it's like going cold turkey. Like, hey, shit, one day you start eating McDonald's, you've been eating McDonald's your whole entire life, and then you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna eat salads and chicken breast and broccoli, and you just go cold turkey. Like, that's not gonna work, right? And so you can't force that change. Change needs to occur naturally. It has to occur naturally. You still have to do something about it. You have to do something about it, but you just can't force it to happen as quickly as you would like it to be. In other words, being impatient. And so change needs to be natural. And think about it like this, in this perspective. Have you ever had a night where you couldn't sleep? And you're like, shit, I just need to sleep. But you can't think yourself to sleep, because telling yourself to sleep sounds counterproductive when you're trying to sleep. So it has to occur naturally. So that's an example for you. And so in other words, we all become our best version of ourselves when we are in our most relaxed state. And so any change, right? And most people, and the reality is, which sucks too, is that most people, they won't change. Most people don't change. They just become better at hiding it. And so that's why I'm here to kind of tell you guys. I was like, if you want lasting change and sustainable type of change, it has to occur from a place of authenticity. It has to be legit. It has to be part of your identity. Let's see. While creating a space, okay, but your man isn't happy. She isn't going to be happy. Yeah. So I took care of my girl all the way. I worked 10 more hours than I ever worked now. After the kids got big enough to go to school. I support her through nursing school. I adore her. She's my queen. Okay. Is there more to that story? I held her down and she was going through feeling stuck. She's great. Oh, so she's very grateful to have a man like you in her life. So financially, you supported her. You were emotionally supporting her as well as financially as well. And now, right now at this point, you feel like, damn, you're also stuck in this situation where that's all you know. And you're not really giving yourself enough time to really do the things that you do. My question to you is, are you even allowing yourself enough time to sit down peacefully? That's very virtuous of you. Are you, now my question to you is, are you even allowing yourself enough time? Because you do work like 50 hours, right? 40, 50 hours. If you're not giving yourself time to even do the things that you want to do, I would say that would be the first step into, I never made her go to work because it felt more to me to have her raise the babies at home. Because it felt more to me? Felt more to me? Yes. Because what? How many hours we have in a week? I have to do some math. We have what? 168 hours. You work 50. So, and is this including commute? Let's break it down into science. Can we have some fun with that? Oh wait, before I continue, I keep derailing myself. I need to finish this. Now, let me finish this and I'll get back to you, all right? In other words, let's see. We're our best selves when we're at a most relaxed state. But most of us get too emotionally wrapped up where change doesn't really happen. And so any change, though, is still better than no change at all. So, you know, I use that example of like, you know, when people say like, dude, I couldn't care less, dude, I couldn't care less. Well, technically not caring at all is caring a lot less. You see what I'm getting at? So, you know, there's plenty of different avenues that you could take within this. You can talk about things. It makes your negative emotions kind of go away for a little bit. And you can find yourself forcing the change that really isn't you, which is better than not changing at all. But it's, you know, you're gonna get attainable success, but eventually it's gonna pull you back down. Kind of like me working out, and you know, I hit my peak, and then for some reason it just got pulled straight back down. Like it feels like a kite. The higher it went, and it just got yanked down, and I was like, oh shit. Now the goal here, the number one goal here, is to identify who you are. Okay, why am I the way that I am? And why you the way that you are? By allowing yourself, by being mindful, taking a step away from yourself and your mind, okay? And then start making newer, healthier changes, like for you, Eric. Allowing yourself X amount of hours so that you can take a step back and allow yourself to play the music that you love, enjoy. Let me see. Yeah, and then start making healthier changes. Identity is the most important thing to you. What is your identity? What is most authentic to you? What are your core values? Like those for a guy is way more important than any dollar amount that you can put on. Because, you know, money comes and goes. But who you are as a person, your reputation, are you congruent with the things that you say and do? It's like all those, everything that adds up builds up to who you are as a person, and that's your character. And character is destiny. And so, you know, in this podcast, I always talk about like there's different subjects, but you know, character is destiny. Which, keep doing great streams. Oh, thank you, Lumi. Appreciate it. So having that, understanding who you are, why you are that person, and why do you do the things that you do? Why? That's the most important question that you could ever ask yourself. Why am I doing? It's not how I need to change. It's why am I doing the things that I do? That's the most important thing. And being aware of why you're doing it. Because if you're doing it because I just need a change, because I heard someone did this and they felt better, it might not necessarily. It's like having a fitness program for someone. It's like taking a fitness program from somebody else that worked for them, might not work for you. Any self-help book for me? Self-belief and confidence. Let me think off top. The one book, I'm gonna tell you the book that I've read. So the most important book that ever made me realize the person I had to change or at least understand, not just understanding myself, but understanding other people, was How to Win Friends and Influence People. The second book that I read was Coach Corey Wayne's How to Be a 3% Man. And it's not just for men, because when women read it and they understand why women do the things that they do, they understand it a little bit better. Because men, we struggle a little bit more in terms of dating and relationships, because women does the choosing. They're the one that confirms whether or not, hey, we are in a relationship, we are exclusive, or we're not. Men, we choose in the beginning, like we pursue. But anyways, self-help. Tony Robbins is a really, really great person. If you're just trying to listen to his podcast or some of his books, off top, I don't know off top what are names. Let me take a look. I forget. Tony Robbins. Awaken the Giant. Okay, Eric, I didn't forget about you. So let's talk about just breaking down, because look, us as men, we I'm assuming you're a dude, all right? We like to see things and just understand. As a woman, I was dating. I have an emotional intelligence to figure a man out in the first seconds when he walks in the room. Okay. What are you currently struggling with? And in the meantime, let's talk about let's break down Eric's hours. Okay, so 168 hours. Okay, calculator. Okay, so 168 hours, okay? 168 minus 50 because of work. And then each time you work is self-belief and confidence. Okay, what is it about self-belief and confidence that you feel like you're lacking in? Like, in what particular area? And for most people that lack self-belief and confidence, one common theme about that is the lack of doing enough. And not just doing just to do, but doing to improve. Because there's a difference. I could be playing a video game. I've been playing this video game for about, almost 20 years. No, more than 20 years. But there's a very short period of time where I was just playing to get good. Like, I'm doing certain things so that I can become better. I want to believe I will succeed when I go for something. My mind said you won't be able to. And there's a crazy thing about our mind too. Eric, if you're still here, let me know. Our mind is designed for us to survive. And then through time, we learn ourselves as humans, because we no longer have to struggle for food anymore, right? We don't have to worry about when our next meal is. So we don't really think about survival as much as we put more importance into thriving. So our mind our brain is still kind of hardwired to survival, not as much as thriving. So thriving, surviving versus thriving, like we still have our mind as old survival. So it's really, it's always constantly trying to hold us back because it wants to keep us more efficient and safe. Think about it like this. Back then, if you did less work, it means that you're more efficient. It means that you can save more energy. So if I could get that meal a lot quicker and doing less work, your body is telling you that's rewarding because I don't have to put in as much work to try to find and hunt this animal. And then now I get to save more energy. So it in turn, it means that I'm increasing my survival. Okay, so Eric, back to your hours. So you have 118 hours left, right? 23 minutes for travel. Okay, let's break it down. So let's just say half an hour, right? Roughly about half an hour. So 5 days a week, 6 days a week. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 2.5 hours to 3 hours is roughly about commute, right? About 2 to 3 hours of commute, roughly. So we had 118. Let's just subtract. Okay, so 5. So 2.5 hours, roughly, give or take, 2.5 hours. So minus 2.5, right? That gives us 115.5, roughly. Okay, and let's see. Hours of rest. How many hours of sleep do you get? I just want to do this so that I could get an idea of how you're spending your hours and days. Why are you sorry? Oh, how many hours of sleep do you get? I always need. That's a lot of hours. Isn't what 6 to? I can't do 6. I need at least 7 to 8. But 9. I wish I could sleep less. You know, that's interesting. I don't know much about the whole sleep. But I know that whenever I get 6 hours, I don't perform as well. When I get 7, I do better. Oh, I sleep 7 to 7.5. Okay, so let's just do 7.5. 7.5, all right? So the median, but that's multiplied by 7. So about 50 hours, okay? Let's subtract 50 minus 50 hours. So you still have 65 hours. Roughly 65.5. Okay? Within those 65 hours, okay, so we already got down work. Eric, you need 2 hours extra. Yeah, so technically you have 2 extra hours more. But we're just breaking down your hours, okay? 50 hours for work. And then we broke down 2.5 hours of just work commute, 2.5 to 3 hours, and then sleep. So for the rest of the 65-ish hours that you have, you're still awake throughout the entire week, right? Is that fair? Is that a fair trade? And this isn't like, you know, we're not counting like you going to the bathroom, taking a shit and all that, right? Like, I'm not counting that. Wait. Sleep about 4 to 6 if I'm lucky. I have 6. I don't know how you survive off of that, Bree. Okay, so 65.5, okay? Let's just say 65 to make math simple. Let's divide that 65 by 7, okay? So you have about 8 to 9 hours a day. 9.28, that's what it says. Let's just say 9 hours a day, roughly. for 7 days. Each day you have about 9 hours. What are you doing within those 9 hours each day? Now, this is assuming that you work every single day, but you work 5 days a week, right? Yeah, I don't get it. I don't know how some people operate in less than 6 hours. I can't. I went to work one time at like 4:30 because I used to work at Starbucks, and I had 5 hours of sleep, and I chugged caffeine, okay? I felt like a zombie at that time, so I get out. So I get out of work at 4. I work 60. I get out of work at 4. I work 63, 64. Oh, 64, okay? Breakfast. You got it. Mitchell, can you tell me what's the perfect balance of optimal performance? I wish I could tell you, but everyone's they operate so differently. You know, what may work for me may not work for you. Now, one thing I could point out is like, well, are we eating healthy? Are we taking care of ourselves? Like I don't, because everybody has their own little things. Everyone's different. I can't just give this one size fit all to everybody. But one thing like I said, I could suggest is, well, are you doing things for your physical body? Like, are you walking? Are you exercising? Are you doing some sort of resistance training? Because when your body feels great, you feel great too. I hear it depends on age. Sleep really depends on your age. Well, as I gotten older, I slept a little bit. Or I need more sleep. But it's called a 7 p.m. It's pretty demanding. Okay, so for those rest of those 9 hours a day, okay, that you do have, what is holding you back from spending, let's just say half an hour, dedicated time? You're 41, okay. So we're not too far away in age. We're not too far apart. Oh, 3 kids. Okay, so let's just cut that in half. All right, you had 9 hours. You have 4 now. Okay. All right, and that's being generous. The school, right? So it sounds like you have very, very little time for yourself. So my question to you is, how are you able to squeeze in? Let's just say, instead of giving yourself an hour a day, let's just be generous and be like, look, 30 minutes. It just sounds to me that you never really had enough time for yourself. So what could you shave off? What could you shave? Now, you can't sleep less, because if you sleep less, you operate at a much lower level, at a much lower capacity. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, that's fine. Being a parent work, sleep is never the same. So the band and I practice once a week. Definitely haven't had time for myself for years. Okay. Yes. Have you learned to make time for yourself? I'm gonna lower this music. And Eric, it sounds like now I'm not saying that this will fix your problems. It just really sounds like time is an issue. And it's, you know, if none of that worked, maybe, you know, like a therapist will help. But it sounds like it sounds so simple. It's like, well, you just never really gave yourself enough time, or you never set yourself a designated time to relax. So no, I'm struggling putting my wants ahead of that of my family's. But have you ever considered, what's up, Benson? Have you ever considered that your wants of your family means also you need to be healthy mentally as well? Because without this, none of this could operate. Therapy did help with me to practice to have self-care. It's not help. So similar times, very similar times. Eric, sounds like you're time poor. We all have the same 24 hours, right? Now if you have kids, you have less time because you have to attend to them. I'm working on this in therapy too. Okay. Oh, okay, so Eric, this is one thing that I've learned about. Now, I'm not a therapist, okay? So I'm not saying I'm a therapist, okay? But I do listen to Healthy Gamer GG. He's a very, very good therapist. And he said that, if the point of going to therapy, he was like, especially in the beginning when he was, when he was a entry level therapist, he was like, he was like, and he was talking to one of his patients, and he was like, isn't the point of going to therapy to talk about your problems? He was like, yeah. And he was like, well, is it helping? And he was like, no. And he was like, well, and he left scratching his mind. And then he was like, well, then he broke it down, and that was part of and this Dr. Case, and that was when he was talking about, going to therapy is great sometimes, and there's the other side where when you go to therapy and all you do is talk about your problems, what naturally is going to happen is that you're decreasing, like I said earlier, you're decreasing your negative emotions. When you talk about the problems that you have, it's, letting it off your chest, you feel better. So you get this illusion of growth where you feel like you're actually improving, but you're not. Because real improvement means that you have to put in action. And so for a lot of people, when they go into therapy and they talk about it, and they talk about the problems, but then they go back home, back to their lives, and they don't do anything about it, what ends up happening is you're decreasing more the reason or the motivation as to why you want more change. And so that's very common for a lot of people when you see all they do is talk about their problems, but they don't actually do anything about it. And so what it sounds like to me here, Eric, is you have a few hours, you just give it away, and you don't give it to yourself. Now, I don't know the reason why you don't give it to yourself. You say it's because of my family and my family needs me more. But I beg to differ. I think that your family would be more, they will benefit more if they have you as a happier dad. Which also comes with a little bit of a compromise or a sacrifice of, hey, I just need about 30 minutes to an hour for myself a day so that so I could operate at a much more optimal level than just giving you my time. In other words, Eric, it's kind of like relationship advice coaching. Yeah, I'm with you. You took her out on a date, but you were on your phone the whole time. Let's see. Kids are, and she's great, super support. Okay, let me see. Communicate with your partner though, as long as she will have to pay. Yeah, and you know what, Eric? It sounds like your wife or your fiance, I think it's your fiance, is very supportive of what you're going through, and she wants you to be better. And with you being better, you still feel like, damn, I don't know if she really means it, but I feel bad accepting it because I don't know if she really truly means it. Let me see. I'm more real. I can do therapy. Your kids are the most important thing in the world. How lucky you are. I agree a little me, but also don't feel guilty by taking more time for yourself, though. Two, just don't abuse it. Absolutely, Bree. Sounds like a great, such a great community here. Yeah, it is. Oh, no drama allowed. Okay, they They are. They really made me so much of a better human. Oh, that's lovely to hear. I try my best. Hope you keep there. Yes, I give it away. Definitely, I keep trying. Uh, Perfect place to share. It feels like a perfect place to hear support. No man, I agree. That's a great space. It is. It is. Everyone here, I don't tolerate people that are disrespectful in here. I always second guess. I always feel like I could give more, try harder. And I think as humans, we always feel like we could always do more. Right? We could always do more until the day that we can't anymore. You know what day that is. But in the meantime, I mean, look, we have a number to play with, roughly. It's not super accurate. It could fluctuate from day to day, right? Sometimes some days are more difficult or a little bit more time demanding than others. But for the most part, it sounds like you do have at least a few hours to yourself. You just don't give it to yourself. So, Eric, instead of talking about this, what I find even more effective is writing about it. So if you have like a pen and paper and just write down and also put it in your calendar. If you use Google Calendars, I love Google Calendars. If you use Google Calendars, write it in your calendar. And just say, from this time to this time, I'm gonna give myself time to do whatever I want. It could be sleep, it could be playing in a band, it could be reading, whatever it is. Allow yourself time, because I feel like you haven't really allowed yourself that time and space within yourself, and you always constantly here. You always like this. They need me. I need to attend to that. You know. Great partner. Definitely communicate with her often. Yeah. I can give more. Try harder. The fact that you're saying that could give more tells me that you're a great person. But I know you guys can. But I know guys that give a shit about what the partner gets. I just don't have that in me. No, you sound like a very, very honest, hardworking, and you just need to you gotta give yourself a little bit of grace, okay? Just a little bit of grace, some time, step away for a little bit, you know. I don't, personally, I don't know you, right? But from what you've been describing and telling me, you just sound like a guy that just needs a little bit more time for yourself. You're like, damn, is it that simple? Maybe. But we don't know unless we try it. And just like, look, I'm not a licensed therapist. I'm not a doctor of any sort. I'm just here giving advice for people that feels like they need help with. And this seems like it's a very, very simple, yet potentially very effective thing to do. It's just to give yourself time. So, you want to be on a? No. Yeah. So our cat threw up. Our cat threw up. Now she's here cleaning. All right. I'll just help myself. Yeah. Yes, man. Yeah, that's me. So yeah, dude. I do. Well, I won't be here on this live next week because I will be busy. Oh, thank you, Eric. Bree said hi. She said hi. I won't be here next week. I know I do say I do it every Saturday, but I won't be here next week. I'll be here the following week. Eric, you know, anybody here you're always welcome to come back. I always do it from 12 p.m. Pacific time. And you know, this is why I always try to create a space for people, whether it's 2 people or 200. I've never reached 200. It'd be nice, but I feel like that would be a little out of control. I don't know how to attend to everybody. Where's the kitties? Where are they? Sleeping? Oh, they're here somewhere. I'll be out of town Saturday, but I'll definitely try to keep you in touch. Yeah, for sure. I have TikTok and I also have Instagram, so you could follow me on that if you ever want to stay updated. Most of my stuff over there is I don't post as much. I don't post often anymore, so I should. What's up, man? Yeah. Yo, Eric, I really do hope this helped though, for real. Give it a shot. Give it a week. At least a week, okay? We need about 90 days to change a habit. A week is not enough, obviously. Need to get back into it. I know. I have a nice setup and everything too. Like I could be utilizing. I have a nice camera. Look, I can do this. Back in the day too. Yeah, no, I had a lot more time too. Speaking of time, I could always make more time, right? So, yeah. So it's nice to hear an honest take on your situation. Yeah, and it's, but for real though, write it down and actually apply it. You sound like a guy that puts a lot of time and action into the things that you do, so I'm not worried about you not doing it. If you're really serious about this type of change for yourself, right? Because you feel like, look, I don't feel like my music's good enough. The things that I do is you don't have enough time. You didn't put enough time. Same thing for you, Lumi. You're like, how come I'm not? I have negative self-talk. I don't feel confident. Well, you're probably not doing enough for yourself. But before you do more for yourself, it is really important right before that starting line to understand why you're doing it. Because you don't want to end up like me where, I was at that one point. And that was just an example, right? So for other people, it's like, well, if I'm poor, the fear of being poor because people made fun of me when I was a kid, when I was poor, and then they're like, well, I'm just going to make a lot of money one day. Well, okay, what does money mean to you then? What if you had more money than most people will ever see in their bank account, and yet you still feel like shit? I need more me time, some way, somehow. So how are you gonna, let me ask you this, how are you gonna keep yourself accountable for giving yourself and allowing yourself, you're not forcing and giving yourself more time, but allowing yourself more time because you need more time for yourself to think about it. Now, I don't know your situation also, where you're like, fuck, I don't like being alone. There are some people that hates being, I love being alone. I love, you good? Jeez. You mean rub that back? I'll rub that back. Shit, what was I saying? You like to be alone. Yeah, I love. Yeah, I love being alone. Oh, okay. Okay, so perfect. You like your own. I need my own. What is this? The bachelor's pad, whatever you want to call it. Peace, quiet, me time. I would fix your back, but this is a public platform. It's being recorded, and also be like, oh, Mitchell's putting his hand on another woman's back. I'm gonna get canceled for that. I help you when this is all turned off. You know what I'm saying? All right, she said yes. There's always a human. Yeah. So, no, for real. Give it some more time. Lumi, I hope I answered some of your questions too, because I was all over the place in this live. But you know what? I do want to thank you guys though. I do want to thank you guys because for a very, very long time, I haven't really felt like I myself had a live where I could just be like this. Bree, you remember back in 2011? This was all it was. It was all about a conversation. And so, I appreciate you guys being here, allowing me the space to do all this too as well. Yeah, you gotta be kind to yourself. Sometimes you gotta have a little attitude of I am the shit. I'm the shit, right, babe? Yeah, I am the best. And I mean it. I fucking mean it. I'm the best, all right? Ain't no motherfucking gonna touch me. And then be like, all right, you're full of yourself. And then let that go. Just let that go. Let that go. I hope this gives you motivation. It does. It does. It does. All right, well, I did not expect to be on for this long, honestly. Usually my lives are like, what, 15, 20 minutes now? So it's nice. It's nice. It's nice to be back. You can't say that? Test it. Go in front of a mirror and say, dude, Eric, you're the shit. And then see how your body cringes. Record yourself. You're the shit. Ugh. Right, and keep saying it. Just keep recording yourself and keep saying it until your back is like, damn, I actually meant that one, right? It might take you a 1,000 times, but if it takes you 1,000 times to say, by all means, do it. We used to do like 2 hours. Yeah, we do. Yeah, for real. Stop shortening them. It's because I run through these lives. My skin will crawl. Well, let it crawl a little bit. You know, it won't hurt. You haven't had that. What was it? I don't want to say it. Anyways, you have to. You got to build that foundation up. All right, build that foundation. I couldn't say that before. I was like, damn, you're the shit. What? But now I'm like, yo, you're the shit. And then I see someone better than me. I'm like, damn, they're way better than me, but I'm still the shit. And what you do and what I do are two different things, okay? You dance, I dance. You have your own style. Even though I know like they're 100% better, I'm just like, nah, you ain't better than me. And then if I see them, I'll be like, nah, I got full respect for you, man. I don't know how you do it, man, but somehow you're doing it. So by me shaking this hand, I'm hoping that I could get something out of this. Have an open discuss, and then, yeah, they will get longer. I am not. Well, look, I love dancing. I enjoyed it. No, being a professional dancer means that like you teach. I don't teach, and maybe this is me holding myself back. I don't teach because I don't want to lose that love for what I do, and also, it's very unconventional that of the ways that I teach dancing, that I don't even know if that's not traditional, but it's like, you know, people be like 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes I get paid for it, you know. Sometimes I get paid for it. Couple $100 here and there to, you know, perform, but it doesn't happen often. Yeah. The moment you get your first dollar, you're a professional. I'm just gonna every time I do a dance video, I'm the shit. And then the camera zooms out. And then I do my thing. And now I fuck up. And I'll be like, yo, you gotta cut that, man. We gotta do it again. Alright, well. I have to fix her back. I have to try to fix her back. I was touring and stuff before the babies. Oh, that means you making bank. That's the attitude you need, yeah. Practice. I was thinking about doing weddings. I was doing weddings. Not bank. Banking. Look, sometimes doing the things that you love, even if it's like a small amount, means way more than getting what you're actually getting in your profession. You know what I mean? I remember I received my first donation over here. You know, it felt any better than any check that I've ever received. I was like, fuck. Do weddings. I told Kui, I was like, yo, we could start easily charging about 2,000, starting 2,000, like $2,000. We do a couple of song dances. We talk a little bit, you know, you have a little bit of charisma. No, he has way more. Kui has way more charisma than me. He just doesn't know when to turn off that button sometimes. And I'm like, yo, we could just do that, and we could just fly, go to the wedding. I'll eat a piece of cake, and they pay us, and we go home. That wedding dress dance. See, exactly, we could do that dance. We can figure something out. But I need to be able to charge my first client that amount first, in order for myself to feel confident enough to be like, damn, I am this shit. Anyways, yeah, Eric, let me know how it goes. If you're not here in 2 weeks, we will punish you by by talking smack about where the hell is Eric, okay? Or at least I will if no one's here. And I'd be like, yo, Eric talked about how all this helped him, and then he never showed up 2 weeks later. I don't know what the hell happened to him. Nah. Nah. I eat a piece of cake and bounce. There. Yeah. We'll see. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So I won't. All right. Let's be specific about our dates. All right. September 27th, I will not be here. Okay. October 4th, I will be here. 12 o'clock Pacific time. Okay. 2 weeks. In 2 weeks. 12 o'clock Pacific time. If you're in the East Coast, 3 p.m. I'll be here. We'll see what happens. Oh, your birthday's tomorrow. Oh, happy early birthday. I hope you give some fucking time for yourself. All right. If you can't even give yourself a day off on your birthday, thumbs up. Thumbs up. Okay. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, guys, it was a blast talking to you guys. I had a lot of fun talking about the dark side of self-improvement, even though it wasn't as dark as I thought it would be. But there is a dark side. Most people just talk about things and not do it, right? That's to put it in layman's term. So, happy birthday, and enjoy your time. Give yourself some time, all right? More than 1 day, though, for sure, Eric. Anyways, I'll catch you guys in 2 weeks. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.